browser-based applications here. But ultimately, they interact with the server like ECC, or it can be CRM, SRM, or even HANA server. So the server can be anything in this case. And technically, there will be request and response between client and server. So these are browser-based applications. So browser-based applications will have HTTP request and HTTP response. Every browser-based app generally has HTTP request and HTTP response between client and server, because these are web applications, or I can say browser-based applications. So in case of these UI5 Fiori apps, the screen is loaded here. The end user interacts with the app from a browser, from any device. They can interact with the app. But not only that, I can say the screen related code is completely executed here. Within the browser, all screen related operations gets executed. Not only that, the screen rendering related to screen elements like table or a drop down checkbox, radio button, etc., etc. So there will be several screen elements. All the screen elements related functionalities are also gets executed within browser itself. And not only that, all the event handlers related code and its functionalities are also executed within this browser itself in case of UI5 Fiori app. And not only that, all the front-end validations, that means generally we call it as screen-related validations. All front-end validations, or you can call it as screen-related validations, so those functionalities are also executed here in browser itself. And if there is any dynamic changes like dynamic changes on screens, or it can be screen elements like enable, disable, visible, invisible, these type of things. And not only that, there can be any text change or a description change or a message change. All those type of things can happen by executing directly within the browser. But except database operations. So the database operations for UI5 Fiori apps, they are completely executed always inside server. Only database operations like select query, insert, delete, these type of things, update. So these type of operations gets executed inside server. So that means almost like 95% of the functionalities are getting executed within the end user machine under browser, except database operations. Database operations are always executed in server. So that's the reason why these applications are stateless applications, because these are nothing but client-side applications, because everything is executed here. So let me just mention this point. Okay, it's already mentioned. Functionalities are almost 95% functionalities gets executed at client side within the browser, except database operations. So that's the reason why they are stateless apps. But not only that, there are many other differences here. SAP ABAP apps and UI5 apps, there are many other differences. Let me just highlight that. So in case of normal ABAP applications, as I told you, these are stateful and these are stateless. But not only that, ABAP applications, they are technically considered as GUI-based applications. Or I can say GUI-based screens like VA01, MM01, VA02, all those standard transaction codes, they are purely GUI-based screens. But in case of UI5 Fiori, all the screens will be browser-based, or I can say a web-based. So browser-based, or you can call it as web-based applications. And in case of normal ABAP applications, these are mostly suitable for intranet. They are mostly suitable for intranet to access the apps within the organization network. But in UI5 Fiori, they are suitable for both intranet as well as internet. So you can access these apps comfortably from within the organization, outside the organization, based on the roles and the authorization. But performance-wise, there won't be any problem whether it is intranet or internet. So they're suitable for both. And in case of normal ABAP applications, for screen designing, we have maximum 15 screen elements like table, drop-down, checkbox, button. So there are very limited screen elements in ABAP development for ABAP screens. But in case of UI5 Fiori, screen designing is like we can develop the screens with the help of 150 screen elements, or I can say more than 150 screen elements. We have several screen elements, so we can provide more user interactivity features. We can develop the screens according to the client requirement, and we can satisfy all the user interactivity features because we have more number of screen elements here. Almost 10 times more than normal ABAP screen elements. So, not only that, I can say ABAP applications, they are suitable only for something like desktops or laptops. ABAP applications, they are suitable only for desktops or laptops, but UI5 Fiori apps, they are suitable for desktops. They are suitable for desktops, laptop, tablets, and even mobile devices. It supports all the devices here. That is the main target of UI5 Fiori. So in present scenario, the data, the application has to be accessed from all types of devices. That is how the world has changed. So world has moved from desktop, laptop to tablet and mobiles. So that's the reason why UI5 Fiori is introduced, and that is one of the main reason. And not only that, I can say ABAP applications, these are lightweight applications, these are heavyweight applications. In general, these are heavyweight applications. Why? Because they consume something like more memory and more time to load. All ABAP applications, we consider them as heavyweight applications just because they consume more memory at runtime and they take more time to load the screens. But in case of UI5 Fiori apps are completely lightweight applications. Lightweight applications. And why they are lightweight? Just because they consume very less memory. At runtime, they consume less memory and less time to load. That's the reason why these are lightweight applications. So that's the reason why performance is also much better compared to ABAP application, because these are lightweight. And similarly, in case of normal ABAP applications, they are not suitable for something like internet features, or I can say web-enabled features. So ABAP application doesn't support most of the web-enabled features. But in case of UI5 Fiori, they're suitable and supports all types of internet features. For example, even audio video integration, we can do it just by writing 2 lines of code. Audio video integration can also happen in our UI5 Fiori just by writing 2-3 lines of code. So these things are possible. Why it is possible? Because SAP UI5 Fiori supports something like HTML features. Whenever we want to achieve internet features or web-enabled features, whenever required, wherever required, we can use some HTML tags. SAP UI5 Fiori framework completely supports HTML features. We don't use all the features, but whichever is important, whichever is required for our business application development, that can be integrated inside UI5 Fiori app. For example, audio video integration. Like that, there are many other options. And similarly, ABAP applications, the screen appearance is something like average. That means the look and feel of ABAP screens is normal, or I can say it's not so attractive in nature. But here, UI5 Fiori apps screens appearance. That means look and feel can be more attractive just because we can add CSS options. So the screens can be developed to whichever extent we want by providing more attractive and user interactivity features, because SAP UI5 Fiori supports something like CSS, that is cascading style sheets. Let me just write it, cascading style sheet. So because of CSS, we can develop our screens with more attractive features. So not only that, I can say SAP UI5 Fiori apps, they are stateless apps, and we are calling it as like execution of functionalities. Execution of functionalities are done. Okay, let me write it like this. Otherwise, functionalities are executed at client side. But how that is possible? We are trying to make sure that 95% of the functionalities are executed at client side. That's the reason why we are calling it as stateless. But this is possible just because SAP UI5 Fiori supports JavaScripting. It supports JavaScripting, so that's the reason why we can make sure that our functionalities are purely client side. That's the reason why we can also call them as stateless apps. And not only that, here in UI5 Fiori, applications can be developed. Applications can be developed with something like screens using JavaScripting, and applications can be developed with screens using XML. So when you develop the screen can be developed in both the ways. By using JavaScripting syntax, we can develop the screens, and also by using XML syntax, we can develop the screens. So in our training sessions, we are going to cover both the things along with HTML, CSS, JavaScripting, and the screen development in both the ways by using XML as well as JavaScripting. So JavaScripting syntax is mainly used in normal UI5 apps. And XML syntax is used in all standard SAP Fiori apps and SAP Fiori-like custom applications. So according to SAP best practices, SAP has recommended screen development for SAP UI5 with JavaScript. And SAP Fiori and Fiori-like applications, the mainly recommended syntax is XML. Okay? Yeah, so both we are going to discuss in practical, no need to worry. This is just an overview. So in simple words, what I want to say is, so UI5 has all these things. JavaScripting features, HTML features, CSS features, cascading style sheets, and also XML. So we can develop an end-to-end application only by understanding all these things. JavaScripting, HTML, CSS, and XML. And not only that, if you closely observe the backend services for database operations, will be either OData ABAP service using ABAP syntax, and backend service can be OData HANA service using HANA ABAP syntax, or OData external service that can be using a third party, something like third party programming language syntax. It all depends. If it is SQL Server, we can use SQL Server syntax inside that external service. So generally for our UI5 Fiori apps, the backend services for dealing with the database operations will be of three types. It can be a normal ABAP service, or HANA based service, or an external service. So let us understand how exactly these things will come into picture with a simple architecture. So let me take one diagram. Okay, this is not required. This is important. Let me just save it. Let me highlight here. For example, I'm selecting a record somewhere here. Let me fetch some data. On fetching data, you can see we are able to get records here. But what user can do? User can select a record. So the selected record, we can take it to the next screen. These are all very common functionalities. I mean to say technically common functionalities. And based on this header record, we can also get its items here. So when we provide some input as a header record, then we can also get its corresponding item data simultaneously. Say for example, if you want to go back, you can go back and you can select some other record, 1006. So that is selected record. On items, you can get its corresponding items. There are only two items here. So on each selected header record, we can get its corresponding items. That is possible. So you can see if there are multiple records, you can see you can also get those multiple records into a table again. So, and screen to screen navigation can happen from one screen to another screen. We are going to apply routing technique. That means for navigation purpose. And not only that, here you can see the data that is coming to a table. We can also download to an Excel sheet. These are all common functionalities. We are going to develop from scratch level. Download data to Excel sheet. So the data gets downloaded and you can open comfortably here. So this is the data, whatever the data we are trying to show, that is coming from backend OData service dynamically. And we are trying to access via front-end app. So these things are common. And not only that, you can see, if I go to fourth view. So in fourth view, you can see something like there is header input record, collection of item records you can provide by clicking add item. You can add the items here. If you want to delete, you can delete the items. And so ultimately you can provide header record here, and you can provide collection of items here, and you can perform insert functionality. So that can be done through create deep entity method. As I said, inserting header plus item. So these type of screens, generally they're commonly available in custom development and standard applications. So we can insert both header and items through this type of screen. And not only that, if required, you can see, let me go to another screen, second screen, and here we can see from Fiori application, I want to go to some transaction code. I want to open a regular ABAP screen. Then you can click on some link and it opens this one. Let me log in. So it opens your normal ABAP transaction code. In this case, it is opening create master data, that is MM01. MM01, that's a transaction code we are trying to open on click of this. So that is also possible. From Fiori, you can click a button or a link. Based on that, you can navigate to your original ABAP screen in case if needed. And not only that, you can see here in this screen, we can also perform all types of validations. We can provide some input. We can provide some input here. And based on the input, we can apply validations here. We can apply validations. So if the value is perfect, then you'll get a tick mark symbol. If the value is wrong, then you'll get a cross symbol. If the length is not proper, then you'll get here the length is not proper, so you're getting first name is invalid. So length should be, in this case, I think it is more than 12 characters. And not only that, if it is US, it is okay. If it is India, it is okay. But if it is XYZ, then it is not okay. So you can apply all screen related validations here. So dynamically, you can show some screen element image with some message here. That is possible. And the salary must be, it should not be in characters. It should be something like in terms of integer. Then only it will accept. Otherwise, you'll get an error. That means you'll get a tick mark, a cross mark symbol. And if I provide some password, just for knowledge purpose, I provided it. So it should have something like minimum one uppercase, one smaller case, one special character, and one numeric. If it is not satisfied, you'll get an error message. And here you can see, this is like, let me provide like this. Now it contains all the things, so it is proper. Now mobile number, it should be 10 numbers here, something like this. Then only it is valid. If you type more than 10 or any other extra character, then it will show something like error message. So message handling validations, we are going to do it. And there is a start date, end date. We can also show some calendar here. We can show calendar, something like this, start date, end date. And if end date is less than start date, then you'll get an error here. But if end date is greater than start date, then there won't be any problem. The input is valid. And you can also accept input in the form of credit card format. You can see that. We can also accept input in the form of credit card format. So 16 digit, and that also can be validated. And you can see here there are several screen elements like checkbox, switch, rating, sliders, timers. All these are Fiori related screen elements. And something like this is a multi-input, and there can be drop downs here. There can be something like radio buttons. And we can also submit the data. We are going to do it practically. And not only that, the drop down can get data from backend system here. You can get data from backend system through OData service. All these things are possible. And you can also get data from backend system and display data through multi-combo box here. Multi-combo box. So these are all screen elements. You can select some values. And here, not only that, there is a list screen element. So if I provide some input, so those records will be displayed. Records matching with that. If I provide something like Kiran, so that record will be displayed. So these are all very common functionalities. And if I don't provide input, then you'll get all records here. So this is a list screen element in this case. So we are going to use all these various screen elements. So that's the reason why here you can see SAP provides more than 150 screen elements. Most of the screen elements we are going to experience practically in different examples. Right, so after this, here you can see, I think I'll stop here and okay, I'll just take another 15 minutes. Then after that, I'll clarify your doubts if you have any. So what we are going to do is, from the next session, we are going to start with OData service development. I think most of the people are from ABAP background. So I will start with OData first. Then we will go with SAP Fiori like apps and SAP Fiori apps and last SAP UI5 apps. So this is a sequence we are going to follow. And in most of the real-time applications, these things are very important. There are 4 things we are going to discuss, but in real-time point of view, OData is important. Fiori-like apps are important. Fiori apps are important. UI5 apps, I think nowadays they are not using it. I am going to explain practically, no need to worry, but real-time point of view, 95% of the clients, they are trying to use the first 3 options. Okay. So in this case, in case of OData, what we do is every OData service project contains something like 4 main folders. Let me just give overview of data model, and there is service implementation, runtime artifacts. For OData development, we have to use all these things, and service maintenance. So these are the 4 main folders for every OData ABAP project which we create using SCGW. You can take any project related to sales order, purchase order, or a custom OData service, but ultimately it contains these things. And in case of data model, what we are going to do is, like in data model, we are going to use 3 main options. One is entity type, then entity set, and principal, something like, okay, first let me write association set, and here we can have principal entity type. I'll just give the overview as of now. First let me write this, and dependent entity type. And not only that, there can be a principal entity set, and there can be dependent entity sets, and not only that, there can be referential constraint and navigation property. So in the front-end development, in OData service development, inside data model, you will find all these different sections. So there are 4 folders. In the first folder, you will find all these various subcategories. That is data model. So in entity type, what we do is we use entity type to maintain collection of fields. Whichever fields are required for front end, those fields we define at OData level inside entity type. In the front end, I may require 10 fields. All those 10 fields should exist at OData level under entity type. So not only fields, it contains fields with data type and length. It contains data type as well as length. I think you are already aware of it, but sequence wise, let me go it here. And this is something like entity type. You can compare this as, it is similar to something like a normal ABAP structure. If you compare with normal ABAP, this is exactly similar to a structure in normal ABAP. But what is entity? Entity is an option. We are going to use it to hold single record at runtime. When we execute our service, we try to hold single record sometimes with the help of entity. And this entity is something similar to, like work area. In your normal ABAP, this is something like similar to normal ABAP as work area. You can just compare like that. And we are going to use entity set, and this entity set is to hold something like collection of records. Collection of records at runtime. At OData level, entity set is something similar to like a normal internal table. Not exactly same, but almost similar to that. Entity set is an option at OData level, which can hold records, collection of records at runtime, same like our normal internal table. But in OData level, we have to use these technical terms. And here, principal entity type, this is to maintain collection of fields, something like collection of fields related to header data. Header data. So we are going to maintain collection of fields related to header data, and that entity type, we call it as principal entity type. And there is dependent entity type. We are going to use this to maintain something like collection of fields related to something like item data. One header record can have collection of item records. So item records fields are also maintained here through dependent entity type. Just the fields. And principal entity set. So we use this to hold collection of header records. One or many records. We can use principal entity set in order to hold collection of header records at runtime when OData service is executed. And there is dependent entity set. So this is to hold collection of item records at runtime. One or many records at runtime. So principal entity set holds collection of header records. Dependent entity set holds collection of item records. And in case of association, association is the relationship between principal entity type and dependent entity type. So between principal entity type and dependent entity type, we can establish a relationship, and that relationship we call it as association here. So that means this is the relationship. So relationship between two entity types. Between two entity types, we establish a relationship through association concept. And not only that, we are going to use association set, and that is also the relationship. So relationship between principal entity set and dependent entity set. So there can be two entity sets, that is principal entity set and dependent entity set. So when you establish the relationship between these two things, we call it as association set. So this is, in simple words, this is the relationship between something like two entity sets. And there is a referential constraint here. Referential constraint is nothing but the common field between principal entity type and dependent entity type. So referential constraint is also one of the option. We have to use it in order to maintain a common field. There should be a common field between header and items. So common field exists between principal entity type and dependent entity type. So that common field at OData level, we call it as referential constraint. And navigation property, this is used in front end to execute something like create deep entity methods. We are going to execute all these things, create deep entity and get expanded entity. So in order to execute these type of methods, we have to make use of navigation property. That is compulsory. So when I use practically, then I'll give more clarity about this. No need to worry, because this is totally interrelated between front end and OData. So these are the options that we have to be familiar with before we develop the first service. All these options comes under data model. And not only that, as I told you, there is service maintenance here, service implementation. So under service implementation folder, so these options will be available. Whatever the methods I've discussed here, right? So like create entity, get entity, update entity, delete entity, get entity set, execute action, update stream, get stream, create deep entity, and get entity set. All these OData methods are technically available under service implementation. So when you open the OData project, then you will find all these methods under service implementation in general. Okay, so this is one thing you need to notice. As part of service implementation, you'll get those things. So all the methods mentioned above are available under service implementation category. Just have written a simple shortcut note. And not only that, there is one more option like runtime artifacts here. So runtime artifacts, they are nothing but runtime classes. Runtime artifacts, they are technically collection of classes here. We are going to use those classes at OData level. Something like there will be a class with MPC and we call it as model provider class. When we use it practically, then I'll explain. I'll introduce each and every detail of MPC class. But this is part of runtime artifacts. And not only that, we are going to have MPC extension. So we call this as model provider extension class. And then there will be DPC, like that is data provider class. We are going to use this as well. And there is DPC extension. We call it as data provider extension class. And not only that, I can say there is underscore SRV, that we call it as registered model. This is not a class. This is not a class. It is just the service name. And then you will get MDL. We call this as registered this is registered service, and this is registered model. So this is also not a class. Frankly speaking, this is not a class. But technically, when you write the code at OData level, ultimately we are going to use these different classes. First 4 different classes, we are going to use it for implementation of all these methods. And not only that, we are going to make use of service maintenance. Service maintenance. So that is another folder. Under this you will find register option and error log, and then you will find gateway client. Gateway client. So I mean to say these are the 3 main categories inside service maintenance. Like you can see, register is it's something like to activate or register the service. Activating is technically like registering the service in OData. And error log, it's very simple. This is to find out or trace out the errors which are occurred during OData service execution. So this is to find or trace out errors which are occurred during execution of your service. And there is a gateway client. We are going to use this to test OData service functionality. This is a temporary screen. So what we do after developing OData service, we have to test it immediately through gateway client. But there are some third-party clients like REST client. You can also use this. This is a third-party simple software. This you will find it at browser level. So this is also similar to your gateway client. Whatever we do it in gateway client, we can also do it from REST client, which is a third-party software in a browser. This also can be used to test OData services. I mean to say OData functionalities. But where exactly the service is used? The actual OData services are consumed in front-end SAP UI5 Fiori once the service is ready. If the service is ready, then that service you can consume under a UI5 Fiori app. But how this service can be consumed? SAP UI5 Fiori apps, these are front-end apps, they consume OData service using OData model class. This is very important in UI5 Fiori. So once after testing your service, the service has to be consumed inside UI5 Fiori frontend, and that service consumption will take place with the help of OData model class. So what OData is going to do is, let me just use a simple diagram here, like, so there is SAP UI5 Fiori front-end screens or apps, and here you will find something like OData services, and as you know, these are for database operations. But technically, the front-end screens has to consume and access the OData services to execute database functionality. So front-end UI5 Fiori will consume this so-and-so OData service with the help of OData model class. The purpose is just to consuming, or I can say access any OData service. We have to use this class. So OData model class has to be used whenever you want to access or consume any type of service. But after consuming OData service, what we do, we try to perform database transactions by sending the data, and we can receive the data between front-end and OData. So after the service is consumed, we need to send data here, and we can receive data from here. So the point here is OData model class is not only to access a service, it is used to send the data, receive the data, and it is used to trigger all these front-end methods. Bind element, update, remove, bind rows, aggregation, call function, create, bind rows. So the front-end methods are triggered by consuming OData service by using this particular OData model class. While calling the methods, we send the data and we can also receive the data. So this is the main purpose of OData model, and once again, this is common class for both UI5 development and Fiori development. The behavior coding syntax is same. So let me just write a simple note. Okay, I've already written OData model class. Very simple, very important. So this OData model class is used to consume or access OData service for dealing with database functionalities. And OData model class is used to send data, or you can receive data between SAP UI5 Fiori frontend and OData service with backend. And not only that, I can say OData model class, we are going to use it in the front end, and this class is used to trigger all OData service methods, like, for example, CRUD queue methods. Whenever you want to execute any of these methods, so the front end has provided the front end related methods, but all those front end methods can be triggered only after using OData model class. So I've written this in 3 lines. You can just refer later, but we are going to do it practically. All these things in detail. Everything, whatever I explained, we are going to experience practically, screen by screen, operation by operation, everything we are going to deal with that. Okay, so I'll just save this and I'll stop for today's session. Let me just close this. This is already in the note file. This is not required. This we are going to do it practically and everything, so I need not take that screenshot. Okay, let it be here. SAP UEFI Fiori frontend versus OData services backend. These are the methods. Then, okay, this is also important. OData model class. Okay, so this is not required. It's just a node file. Okay, I've saved all the diagrams, important diagrams, and all the text, everything is written here. So after every session, I'll be forwarding it to you. I'll forward it to Shiva. I think Shiva can forward it to you. So you can use it for future reference. And okay, in case if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Thanks, Vijay. Thanks for the session.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's open it for questions.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys can unmute on the left, at the bottom on the left mic button.
Yes. They can unmute and you can speak and you can ask your questions if any.
And one point, Vijay, most of the team members recently for the past few weeks, we have installed Eclipse and as well as WebIDE.
Okay.
I believe, you may not, you can just give the overview and just skip the installation session.
Okay, but did you add that service destination? Service destination is required inside SAP WebIDE for connecting to SAP OData service. So without that, we can't proceed further.
Okay, so that we can, probably we can review and you can explain that. But
So
installation part, Eclipse and WebIDE, team, everybody has installed in there.
So everyone has installed locally or they are using Cloud One, Cloud WebIDE or local web?
WebIDE locally. WebIDE locally.
Yeah, WebIDE is local.
Yeah.
Okay, so I recommend you to install locally itself because that will be much faster and we can make modifications and test it very easily. So once after getting some hands-on experience on local WebIDE, the same code you can replicate in the cloud as well. There is no much change. But whatever it may be, SAP WebIDE should have a service destination which connects to OData service, something like this. You can also test it after the training. Here you can see. When you create a project, you should get this. Then only you can proceed further. Okay, so
Yeah, we were able to get this.
here you can see something like here in service catalog, you should get this service destination with which you want to connect to. So in our case, I am using EH7 that connects to our OData service. So let me just connect here. If the connection is successful, then what happens is you will get the list of services here, all the list of OData services you can see, and we can select a service and we can proceed further. We can start writing the code in the front end.
Sure. We will explore that and then get back.
Okay, so if this service destination is not available, just try to intimate me so that I can give the steps to create that destination as well.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Then
Rakesh, Vijay, other Shiva, if anybody has questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, I'm Venkat here. So for the updation method, for the updation method, can we upload the multiple records?
Yes. So for that, we have to use like batch technique. That is possible. We can call this update method multiple times. And in that case, what we do is, so here, if required, we can call multiple methods in a single request. In a single request, we can put all the multiple methods and execute our survey. So that is possible through batch technique. So we are going to use that technique as well. Yeah.
Okay. And also, can we upload the Excel file from Fury
Yes, yes.
to that?
We can upload, yes. We can
So
upload
we
all
are
types of
using-
files
yeah.
like PDF, text, doc, JPG, all types of files are supported. So there is a file uploader screen element. We have to use that, and we can. This is from SAP UI Unified. So under this library, we have a file uploader screen element. So screen elements, most of the time I'll be using these screen elements, but that is nothing but UI elements, or you can call them as user interface elements, or sometimes we can also call it as controls, UI controls. So the meaning is same. So in our Fiori front end, there is a file uploader screen element under this library. So we can use that to upload any type of file. Venkat, is it clear?
Yeah. I'm clear.
Yeah. Then,
Yeah. Can we generate the Adobe forms from Fury?
Adobe,
Not single.
Are not Adobe forms in the front end. Whatever the Adobe form available in your normal ABAP system, that Adobe form you can convert into an string format. Okay?
So-
Or I can say binary format. So whatever Adobe form you have, you take that entire Adobe form or a smart form and put it into a string or a binary format, and with IS media resource and there is something like ER stream. So ER stream will be helpful for downloading that Adobe form or a PDF file in the front end. So, but the point here is inside OData service itself, you have to use your normal ABAP technique to deal with Adobe forms. There is no direct technique in the Fiori to deal with that.
So in the OData, through string format, you will render the data and it will be shown on the front end screen through the
Exactly.
UFI element.
Exactly. Yes.
From this method, can we execute the multiple forms?
Which method?
So same extreme. So I can convert the data into extremes. Then I can see the multiple forms in the front end.
We can, I think, but what we need to do is we have to use again, I think for that batch technique has to be used, I think. I'm not exactly sure, but whenever you go with multiple things, batch technique comes into picture in general.
Okay.
So even for multiple Adobe forms, I think we can execute the same method twice with different files.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So for every multiple, need to use the batch method.
Yes. So that is the main purpose of batch technique here. Yes.
And also
So-
Fury does. Fury UFI don't have the templates. At least the basic
No.
templates.
No,
Only
there is
Fury
no.
has.
There is no template in SAP UI5. UI5 is just a framework with the basic libraries, properties, classes, etc. So let me just show that here so that you may get some idea. Let me go to that SAP help documentation. So you can see. So under SAP Fiori, you can see these are various controls. I said there are more than 150 screen elements for screen designing in Fiori. So you can see all those screen elements. But all these screen elements, they are part of the UI5 framework itself. For example, there is a button. So button is a class, but this is a class from SAP UI5 library itself. Here you can see button is a class. Under this library, I'll explain in detail. Other people, you need not worry. When I go with the documentation, when I start Fiori, I'll introduce what is class and etc. But for doubt clarification, I'm going with this one, button, and button is part of so-and-so library, but it is technically part of UI5 framework itself. Okay, so in UI5 we can use direct screen elements with the libraries and the classes. But in Fiori there are two things. In Fiori, what we do is we use UI5, framework, libraries, methods, etc. plus Fiori templates. So what is the main purpose of template? Advantage of template is very simple. If you use template, some piece of code is auto-generated and the preloading of various files are handled automatically. As a developer, we need not really worry about how one file should be connected with another file in developing the application. So these are interrelated files. All those are made with a connection when you use a template. So template itself handles the preloading of various files, and template will generate some piece of code. On top of that, we can write our own coding. So the only advantage is in short time we can complete end-to-end application. So the point here is when we use a template, what happens is the list of files will be auto-generated, okay, which are required to run any normal functionality. So all the list of apps are, list of files are also auto-generated, which are used to run the app. So the runtime files are generated through template. So you need not maintain a connection between one file and another file. The framework itself will take care of. Template itself will take care of that. So, but in case of normal UI5, if you use normal UI5 app, then as a developer, we need to write each and every line on our own. From scratch level, we have to write it. So that is a point. But when you use template, you can generate some code, you can preload the libraries, we can preload the files, and then we can write our required code and then proceed. But in case of UI5, everything has to be done manually by a developer.
Okay. Yeah. Vijay has another question. He is not able to unmute himself.
Okay.
So his question is basically, how do we do the error handling? Which errors are happened at the server side? Does the methods, OData methods, has the error codes to handle?
Yes, we have. So here you can see. Let me go back to this. Say for example, if you're calling bind rows, or if you're calling, for example, create method. So from front end we are calling create method, but in OData level it is executing create entity, and if this method is successfully executed, we can send some success message. If this method is failed to execute the operation, then we can send a failure message to the front end. So that means here callback functions comes into picture. Callback functions are used, like one is success callback function, and there will be failure callback function for every method. So if the OData operation is success, you can send some message from OData and you can execute a success callback function in the front end. And if the operation at OData level, if it is failed, then failure callback function is executed. So to be more specific, let me go to this diagram. Anyhow, we are going to discuss that in CRUD operations, but let me just give some idea. Yeah, here. Say for example, now this is a situation. What we do, from front end, we are calling create method, right? But technically at OData level, it is calling create entity method. Now in create entity method, we perform insert statement. Now if insert operation, if database operation is success, if if database operation execution is success, then send success message from here. If OData operation is failed, then you can send error message from here. That is possible. And if you are sending success message in the front end, you can display by using success callback function. We call it a success callback function and failure callback function. So the point is, each and every method in OData is designed such a way that there will be two possibilities, success or failure. In case of success, automatically in the front end, success callback function is triggered. In case of execution failure, in the OData, failure callback function is triggered in the front end. So that is how the framework is designed by SAP to trigger this callback function so that you can display error message or a success message, something like that, based on the activity. Okay? Got some idea?
Yep. Yeah, we are almost past 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody has any questions, you can write down and send it to us, and Vijay can respond back in the next session.
Yeah.
Yep.
At any time, you can send an email so that I can reply. You can get more clarity on that. So after the session also, you may get some questions. So you can just send those questions to my email ID. I'll try to reply to that.
Okay. Sarvana, do you want to add anything? Are we good for today? Okay. So maybe he's unmute or joined other session. Okay. So we can take a pass today.
Okay.
Thanks for your time, Vijay. Let's connect tomorrow.
Okay. Are you able to follow these things? Is this speed is okay, or you want me to go a little bit fast or a little bit slow?
I think I'm okay. I will take the feedback from others and get back to you if anything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, Vijay.
Mostly in OData, you may feel little bit bored because you are already aware of this OData. But in UI5 Fiori, everything will be very interesting. And it's almost like a simple screen development. We are going to do it in UI5 Fiori. That will be more interesting compared to OData.